I guess Democrats think you're so stupid that you don't see through their pathetic play acting. And by the way, speaking of bad actors, here's Chicago's Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Driving around the South and West Side, seeing neighborhoods devastated by looting, shop owners literally crying tears because so much of their whole body and person was invested in setting up and running these businesses, only to see their hopes dashed.
I thought you couldn't say buildings matter too. Well, my friends, what you just saw from Lori Lightfoot is a poor attempt at damage control. Because yesterday, everyone in Chicago, and even today, was talking about audio obtained by a local news station, TTW. And it was from a May 31st conference call between Lightfoot and the city aldermen. All of whom, by the way, are Democrats, mind you. Now, during the conversation, aldermen were literally crying and distraught over the horrendous destruction in their neighborhoods that they represent.
My ward is a show. It's cop cars burning, banks burning. We had to put the bridges up. They're shooting at the police. It wasn't a protest. It wasn't anything like this. Business owners that are sitting there with shotguns in their hand because they're scared somebody's going to come. You know, it's like, what are we going to have left in our community?
Nothing.
And you want to know something? I've worked really hard over the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm 5 feet back, five steps back.
I'm ground zero. That's how I feel about it. My major business district is just shattered. You lose the 2 biggest icons. Why will Walmart or CVS come back to our communities?
Well, she was prescient. There are reports today that Walmart may indeed not reopen stores in the riot-stricken areas of Chicago. Well, can you really blame them? Or frankly, any other businesses wanting to cut their losses and head for the exits at this point? Who would want to risk real money in cities run by mayors who basically think, again, when the cameras or microphones aren't on, that looters and criminals should be given room to express themselves? Expect other blue cities to see the same exodus. In Minneapolis, nearly 500 businesses were damaged or destroyed during the mostly peaceful protests. Rioters burned down a major manufacturing plant that stood in the city for 30-plus years. It's going to be rebuilt, just not in Minneapolis. But like Lightfoot in Chicago, Jacob Pajama Boy Fry doesn't seem to care that businesses vacate his city. What's worse, they're just blasé when challenged about protecting their own citizens. Here's an alderman pressing Lightfoot about the slow response of the Chicago PD.
Mayor, can I just say one thing on that?
Please.
The police do not engage early before the crowds get big.
I will tell you, Alderman Dow, I know that you have some specific concerns, and you and I have discussed them briefly. I've been on calls all day asking people to step up and use their voices in their network and distinguish between righteous First Amendment protests and what we're seeing all over our city, which is just criminal conduct.
Ooh, use their voices? Well, that's going to bring back jobs and confidence and solve the crime problem. What is she even talking about? But it gets worse. At one point, Alderman Raymond Lopez, he's going to join us in just a moment, he'd had enough and directly confronted Mayor Lightfoot and her cliches, or bromides, and he focused on both the violence and her role in stoking it.
Half our neighborhoods are already obliterated. It's too late. We have to come up with a better plan, because my fear is once they're done looting and rioting and whatever's going to happen tonight, God help us, what happens when they start going after residents, going into the neighborhoods? Once they start trying to break down people's doors who they think they got something, and you've got them all pumped today, they're not going to go to bed at 8 o'clock. I've got gangbangers with AK-47s walking around right now, just waiting to settle some scores. What are we going to do, and what do we tell our residents other than good faith people stand up, it's not going to be enough.
Thank you, Alderman. Next question.
Well, no, I want an answer. You commented on everybody. I want an answer. It's not something you ignore. This is a question that I have.
I think you're 100%. I think you're 100% full of what I think. If you think
no offense, well, then.
Hold on.
Who are you to tell me I'm full?
And if you think we were not ready and we stood by and let the neighborhood go up, there's nothing intelligent that I can say to you.
Well, maybe you should come out and see what's going on.
It's the stupidest thing I have ever heard. I understand you want to preen. I understand that you think that you.
Mayor, you need to check your attitude. That's what you need to do.
Wow. That's all I can say is wow. Now, just a few weeks ago, Mayor Lightfoot, remember she was harassing people for not social distancing and like hanging out and doing picnics and gatherings in their homes? But now she's demonizing anyone who questions her and her results. But I was thinking that conversation kind of sums it all up. If Democrats get in control really in November, we'll all be told just how dumb we are and to stop preening when we point out how certain types of leadership is just sending us off the rails. And do you think that old Joe Biden, who can barely get through a 7-minute softball interview on MSNBC, is going to be able to contain rogue mayors like Lightfoot or stand up to the radicals who are emerging as leaders of the Democrat Party like these?
If you're an elected official that for any reason is on this call, I'm asking you to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice to make sure that overfunded police departments are defunded?
We need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
When Biden says he doesn't agree with their views on defunding the police, I wouldn't believe him for a second. That man can't control that squad any better than he can figure out what that person in his ear is always telling him to say. When you dial 911 during a Biden presidency, expect to hear something like this.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Well, to stop the destruction, you can't project this vague sense that everyone should just be nicer. When rioters are running amok all over the city, all over the country, you got to get them in check, and Donald Trump understood the importance of stopping them. And by the way, so do honest liberals. And Trump, and I think there are a number of Democrats who see that poor people also need good jobs. They don't need more empty promises or slogans or gestures. They know that working families need safe neighborhoods, not higher crime rates. Certain people on the left are promising, they'll cry when you suffer. President Trump and people who actually get it, well, they promise to be actually cheering when you succeed, regardless of your skin color. And those panicked voices you heard on that call in Chicago, expect to hear more like them across the country, unless we opt for common sense and reject choreographed chaos. And that's the angle.